Welcome to the Sentimental Twist,
where two generations share one love for meaningful spaces and gracious hospitality.
I'm Brittany.
And I'm Melissa.
Let's gather around the table and talk home, hosting, and all things sentimental.
Yay! Although I'm sad. This is episode 10.
Do we need to have longer seasons?
I don't know, but everybody, I'm going to see Brittany at the end of May. The child and I have not met ever in person. So
we're going to eat boiled peanuts, and we're going to play mahjong.
Yes.
And we're going to go antiquing, and we're going to go to the beach.
And we're going to meet Anna.
Bestie.
And
Julie.
My bestie Julie, we're traveling. I said, I texted Julie several weeks ago and I said, I desperately have to go to Alabama to meet Brittany. So she said, I'm on it. Because, we went to,
I know.
What Beautiful Tablescapes Bash, the Beautiful Bash, going because we were going to meet precious Brittany and watch her speak. And then she got the flu. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't go. But, anyway, we're going to travel and we're going to do a special podcast.
It's going to be fun.
I'm super excited about that.
I can't wait.
This is episode 10. It's the wrap up of season 3. Can't believe it went by so fast. It's our last episode of the season. We're going to take a short break for the summer and then we'll be back. So I'm Melissa. You can find me at Home with a Twist on Instagram, homewithatwist.com, and Home with a Twist on YouTube.
And I am Brittany at Brittany Shepherd on the Instagrams, thesentimentaldecorator.com, and Brittany Shepherd TSD on YouTube.
So Brittany and I just had a really good conversation off air about her consulting business. And I'm super excited for her on that. If you're a creator and you're really wanting to leverage growing your account or growing your monetization and your reach, then you've got some fun things ahead.
Yes. I'm I'm consulting now 1-to-1, but I want to sort of move it into a group model, mastermind type situation. Maybe we do a 90-day intensive and then that rolls into a monthly where we have workshops and themed content, learning content related to growing a recognizable brand and business. And so if that sounds interesting to you, please reach out to me.
I am loving that. I'm so going to be on board with your cohort. Okay, so I'm so excited to share my interview with Lizzie Post.
This is a great one.
She, I think, is going to become one of my new friends. Mm-hmm. She is the coolest person. So our content pillars are tradition, legacy, heirloom, respecting heirlooms. And Lizzie Post is the great-great-granddaughter of Emily Post, who was the pioneer.
The Emily Post.
Of etiquette. For over 100 years, our manners and etiquette and social cues have come from a woman who in the 20s, even till now, we still have sexism where women are kind of under men. But I mean, it was unheard of for a woman to be a writer, to be traveling unaccompanied by a man. She was a public speaker. She wrote many books and she founded the Emily Post Institute. So I'm so thrilled that we're going to get to hear from Lizzie Post and weigh in on modern day etiquette and how her great grandmother got started with the industry that we have now. So let's take a listen. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to have our special guest here, Lizzie Post, who is the co-president of the Emily Post Institute for Etiquette, which if you follow me on Instagram, you know that every Monday we do Mind Your Manners, and people love that. They've really been looking forward to that, Lizzie. So honored to have you here. Emily grew up with mothers and grandmothers who followed your great-grandmother's advice to a T. And everybody had their copy of the Emily Post etiquette book.
Nice.
And so, because that generation of women in their, that were born in the 20s, 30s, 40s, were just like at Dear Abby, Ann Landers, and Emily Post were who they followed. So I have a little bit of that in my background, but I'm finding that as our generations get younger, that you might have a little bit more of a challenge with trying to get
Yes.
the word across about proper etiquette. So, your great great grandmother, Emily Post, built an entire career around etiquette. When women were not working out of the home. From what
In
I
a lot of
understand,
ways,
yeah. So talk
yeah,
a
I
little
would
bit about her and her journey
sure.
to share her passion for etiquette.
I think what's really incredible about Emily is that she lived what I call a very unexpected life. That she grew up in the Gilded Age in high society New York City, and she was that daughter. I mean, the subtitle of the biography on her is called "Daughter of the Gilded Age, Mistress of American Manners," and she really was a daughter of the Gilded Age. I mean, she grew up in a world where the expectation was going to be that she was going to marry well, that there would be some kind of an exchange for name for money or money for name, one of the two, or two great names and money would come together and marry. There was the expectation that she would run her home and receive other socialites and business contacts of her husband's in her home and be the consummate hostess and everything. And she ended up and she was ready for that lifestyle. She was the debutante of her year and season. You know, she was elegant and well read and enjoyed entertaining people. Just she really was that thing. But she ended up in a marriage where her husband sadly cheated on her quite a lot, and eventually there was a big blackmail situation on the scale of like the Heidi Fleiss level of
Yeah, yeah.
little black books being exposed. And she and her husband, they didn't pay the blackmailer that wanted to expose the affair, and the whole story blew up. And what she had wanted was a very not public divorce. In fact, she didn't really even want to divorce her husband, but he did want a divorce. And so at, 20 something years old, she ends up as a single mother of two and had to figure out how she was going to survive. How was she going? I mean, survive. The woman had like three houses. You know what I mean? Let's,
Sure.
we use the term lightly.
But socially, women were not
S
single, you
Socially,
know.
women weren't single. She had at that point already started writing as kind of like a hobby career for herself, and she had written a couple of books that were essentially romance novels. I mean, they were stories of young women going to, Europe to find titles, with men that had no money, but they had a title, and the young American had the money. And she would write these stories about that. And it's in those stories that we start to see her dabble in some of her first host and guest etiquette. Oh, we didn't have money, but the hostess, put on such a beautiful spread and engaged with all of her guests. And you hear those tones of graciousness then repeated later in her etiquette works. But she ended up on her own, wrote in lots of different ways, did an entire serial where she went from New York to the Golden Gate by car with just a chauffeur and her cousin, and that was it. No car to follow to fix things, no nothing, like, and it was really quite an amazing trip. So she had done a lot of writing, and then she turned to her agent and she said, this topic of etiquette is really popular, and I think I could actually write something on that. And about 10 years later, they finally landed her a deal with a publisher to write a book on etiquette. And at first she thought it was a little silly. She thought that it was going to be just a little pamphlet, nothing major, just a few pointers. And it turned into a 627-page book that became so well known, people think she is still alive and well today. I mean, it
Wow.
was, and at this point, she's now 49 years old writing that book, 50 when it comes out. So 50 years old, divorced in the 1920s, mother of two, ends up with a smash hit book,
Mm-mm.
mostly because the book didn't shame people. It was one of the few etiquette books on the market that didn't use embarrassment as a sales tactic. And
Mhm.
it really tried to paint the picture of you can behave in these ways, you can participate in this game of society, you can do these things, even if you don't have the silver tea tray and the butler. A simple hostess with a beautiful presentation on a wooden platter would do just as well in the most modest of houses, the most humbling of homes. Like, she really tried to paint the picture that etiquette was for everyone. And I think that was what made her a real standout in the world, because it was a hot topic, it was a hot
Exactly.
topic. She was not the only person doing this. And she really stood the test of time because of how she went about it. And then she kept updating her books. And every time she'd update her books, she'd really look at how society was behaving. What were they doing? What the young flappers of the 20s who are now mothers, how are they behaving as they socialize today? Are we calling people on the telephone, or are we still sending someone over with a note card? Or are we doing things? And she allowed the manners to change. And I think that is the other thing that kept her going. So a real sense of inclusivity and a willingness to change with the times. And that is how Emily Post became the name we recognize today. So I got to get on the marketing train.
Yeah, I mean, she was a pioneer in so many ways. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that is one of the challenges, because my mission in life is to get women to host again
Yes.
and not
Oh,
be and not be
yes.
afraid to host. That you don't have to have a house that looks like a magazine. A
Mm-hmm.
smaller house is better because you want everybody to be in one space.
Mm-hmm.
And I can clearly see that she was carried that same message, that
Yeah.
it's about being gracious, and
Yeah.
that etiquette and manners is not about shaming someone or calling someone out. If someone
Yes.
does something at the table that seems inappropriate, you don't call attention to it. You just
Don't let
yeah,
it
and
ride.
I
Just let
love
it
that.
ride.
Do you
Yeah.
Emily, Brittany and I talk a lot about heirlooms and keeping things.
Mm-hmm.
And so was your family really careful about all the things that belonged to your great-grandmother getting do you have some of her treasures now?
I do have some of her treasures. My mom's engagement ring is a diamond earring of Emily's, and I think the other one went to one of my other aunts. My cousin there was a little pin that had, I think, some small diamonds on it that became the engagement ring for his wife, Susan, who's been in our family for years now.
And is that your
My
cousin
sis,
is that your cousin Dan?
no, that's his brother. That's his
Okay,
brother Will.
okay.
Dan, I'm trying to think. I don't remember what Dan has. My sister and I were each gifted little bags. Emily had a thing for Chinese culture and aesthetic. And so she had this little purse. It was like a little kind of U-shaped purse that had just some Chinese like images of Chinese people on it in kind of traditional garb and things like that I ended up with. I think it has some tassels hanging down from it. My sister received a beaded bag that was the entire bag is hand beaded with, I think, some floral pattern on it. But mostly if we have things, they are furniture and little accessories. Like, I have the vanity from her Eggertown house in Martha's Vineyard, and with it came little things like I wish I could like run up and grab them for you. Is a little tiny pot of like
Oh, for
blush, and a
powder?
little
Oh,
thing of lipstick. Like, it was
uh-huh.
like a little case that
Oh,
pops open and the little lipstick pops out, and it's probably made from like whale blubber or something like that. It's that old. You don't want to use it. God knows
right.
what's in the paint. But so there's some little things like that. I have a tin that was like two different cigarette tins. She didn't even smoke, but she had these to offer her guests, and so they were like the old fashioned tins rather than a box that the cigarettes would come in. My parents have and use very regularly Emily's silverware.
Mm.
So there are things of hers but it's a lot of it is furniture. In fact, the dressers in my closet, I guess you could call it, is I used a second bedroom and just took it all over for so I guess it's more of a dressing room. It sounds really fancy. It's just a lot of clothing. But it's I took two of the dressers from that summer house and repainted them and stained the tops. And so those are things, but it's stuff like that. It's more furniture than like we don't have any of her dresses, and I would have loved that because she was fastidious about getting dresses made for herself, and the fabric and the patterns and the design details that she somewhere in the world, someone has a journal that has all that information in it. If they would like to donate it to the Emily Post Institute, we would be ever so grateful.
Right.
You know?
That's a great segue. Tell us about the Emily Post Institute because she actually started that when she was alive, didn't she?
She did. She and
Okay.
her son started it in 1946, and it has been the vehicle that's easily allowed her to pass on her work to her family and carry on the legacy, have each generation do that. And each generation really has, my grandfather and my grandmother took it over from Emily and her son, and they ran it from 1960 when she passed away all the way up to 1995 when my aunt Peggy stepped in to be the namesake. And then about 5 years after that, my father and his sister stepped in to work with Peggy, and that was the first time they ever opened up the institute to really being run by more than one family member as a face of the brand.
Mhm.
And it worked really well. So then when my generation was ready, they plucked us up and said, "Hey, we've got a project. Are you interested?"
That's
And
great.
it was really great way to do it. So my sister worked with us for a while, my mother worked with us for a while, and then we had kind of what we call the mass exodus, which was a few years before the pandemic. We literally went from a company of 12 to a company of 2. And it was like, "Whoa, this is different." And Dan and I were at the helm running the podcast, working our training business where we go to corporations and train. We also train people to be trainers. So if you would like to learn how to teach Emily Post business or children's etiquette, we are here for you and ready to hold your hand. Very, very comprehensive course. It's got a binder about this thick that comes with it.
And I'm sure there's a
Um,
test. Is there a
it's
test?
I wish no, we
Okay,
don't.
well,
We're
that's
actually
good.
starting to get to the point where we might want to take one if people are going to come and work with us. But right now, we really allow people to take this education and use it in the way that benefits them. So it's not a franchise. You don't have to be a teacher. You could do it just because you like the podcast and want to come spend a week with Dan and me and learn
Ooh,
from us directly.
fun.
So
We have listeners that are interested in that. Do they find out from just going to the Emily Post Institute? Emily,
yes, ma'am.
what is the website address?
emilypost.com, and you can find out more about
emilypost.com.
our train the trainer there. You can also write directly to our program manager, Christy Spencer, at Christy KRIS as in Sam TI at emilypost.com.
Okay, great. I hope
So
there's some of our listeners out there who are interested and want to pursue that because I
I
think that's
hope so
great.
too.
Yeah.
It'd
So
be
let's
really
talk
fun.
about obviously she started the institute in 1940.
46, yes.
46. So etiquette has really evolved a lot since then.
Just a little bit.
What's one etiquette rule from your great-great-grandmother's day that has softened or changed and one that has remained completely timeless?
Completely timeless. Boy, that fork is always on the left and the knives and spoons are always on the right. And
Okay.
you have Emily Post to thank for taking us from the Gilded Age and the Victorian Age, where we were putting out all of our utensils and showing off every little bit of silver that we had to use on the table, to being just the utensils you use and not putting out more than 3 at a time.
And tell me
3
why
courses
tell me
worth
why
at a
that was
time.
important to her because she wanted
I
it to
think it
seem
was important to her
approachable?
because I think it took away some of the show offiness of hosting a dinner party and put the hands back in the category of practicality. And so, you know what? We really only need to put out what we're going to use. And why overwhelm someone, even if you have a 6-course meal? 3 of those courses, you could easily bring the utensils out with the course that it accompanies, rather than having them all out and having, place settings that go out a foot in each direction from either person. So I think that's one that stayed the same. One that's changed, she actually really documented the change of it, and that's the disappearing chaperone. So in her first book, the chaperone gets a chapter. By her next book, the chaperone is disappearing. And we're dealing with the fact that young women are trusted to go out on their own, that they are trusted to go for a walk with a boy and not have to have someone there to mind them throughout the process.
Right.
And so that's one that really disappeared quite quickly. I would say other interesting things like that are the reply card for wedding. We're so used to the tradition now being that you receive a wedding invitation and with it comes a reply card that actually has a box you might check for what meal you'd like, who's coming to the wedding. You fill it out. It's got that giant M and you
Yes.
write, Ms. Lizzie Post or Ms. Elizabeth Post, that kind of thing. That was considered rude when it first started happening. My grandmother reluctantly accepted this. The old tradition was that you would take out your stationery and write back to the host, "Dear so and so, it is with great honor that I accept your pleasure of your invitation," or whatever it is.
Right.
And so you used to do that, and the reply card became the shortcut. But it to us today, it's a courtesy. It's a thoughtful thing to do for someone, to give them a pre-stamped envelope with just the easy answer right in it to get that RSVP. And of course, nowadays we have the digital RSVP as well. So that's one that I found really fascinating, was my grandmother's reluctance. She's like, "I guess we're ready for reply cards," you know?
Right. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
So there's often a misconception that etiquette is about perfection or performance. How do you
Mhm.
personally define etiquette today, and how do you keep it to help people see it as a tool for connection rather than pressure?
So we talk about etiquette in terms of being made up of principles and manners. And at Emily Post, we believe the principles of etiquette are consideration, respect, and honesty. And that these things cross cultural boundaries, they stand the test of time. When they are present in our interactions, in our words with others, we do pretty well, even if we don't know the specific manner for how to handle a situation.
Yeah.
Manners, on the other hand, are time sensitive. They vary by culture to culture and even sometimes by, social group to social group. And so those manners are something that we want to pay attention to. We want to see how they change over time. We want to be aware that if we get something wrong about a manner or miss that there was a manner to even be there, that we know how to say, "Oh, excuse me, pardon me," or, "Thank you so much for understanding. I just learned this today," And I think that it's really that powerful combination of having some steady guidelines and allowing for difference and change and really observing what society is choosing to do with the social situations that we end up in and even the business situations that we end up in, and balancing that against the principles. When cell phones first came out, they
Right.
were, like, nowhere, and then they were everywhere, and then all of a sudden people were like, "It's really not cool to be on your cell phone when someone's checking you out at the grocery store," you know what I mean? When they're ringing you up for that tab. It's really important to give that person your respect and consideration in that interaction. And so you kind of see how the pendulum swings a bit, or how we find our way to the best etiquette. The one that I am most excited about today is that United Airlines has just banned speakerphone. You can't play things out of your speakers on your phone. You have to be
Have to have
using
you can't have
headphones.
conversations with someone on your I love that.
You can't be on FaceTime on the airplane, on the flight. And I was just like, I love you, United. Please let us know if you'd like to partner with us in any way.
Ooh,
That
that would
was
be a really great plug for
I
you
know, right?
guys. Yes.
But but that one was incredible to me because it's really taking a problem that people deal with every day and saying, "You know what? We are in charge of the space that these people operate in, and we want people to feel like the best behavior, they are experiencing the best behavior they can. Let's help out. Let's put up some parameters so that people can't just bulldoze each other and bring their conversations everywhere, or their music or their TikTok videos or whatever it is that they're not using headphones for."
Right, I mean, technology has really probably been one of the most major impacts
Oh yeah.
on your work with etiquette and manners.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Even down to, how do you handle it when, boy, that eulogy really sounded like it was written by AI, you know? Like,
Yeah, and
it's
email.
interesting. Oh,
Email
yes.
email communication is a whole 'nother topic.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Even in our exchange, when I couldn't find the link for today's show, I was like, "Okay, I wanna write to her and ask for the link," and I was like, "But I darn well better put something in that says, like, 'Please excuse me if I'm if I've missed it, if I'm making more work for you, whatever it is, I need to think about my own behavior, my own, blind spots in this particular moment
Well, and
and account for them
also
where I
because
can.
you don't have the context of hearing the person's voice, it's very hard to transmit information because it may come across in their way as a very loving, kind gesture,
Yes.
but then our voice inside our head is reading it a different way, you know?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, there have been studies done that say that that is exactly what happens, that you can write something in the positive and the person reading it will receive it as neutral. And if you write something in the neutral, they'll receive it as negative. So you can only imagine what writing it negatively actually does for the person receiving it.
Yes, and people don't wanna talk on the phone anymore.
No, they don't. I've noticed that too. Have you noticed the one that kills me is because I started my career in the age where we still had desk phones, office phones,
Yes,
people that
uh-huh.
would call an office line, someone would buzz and say, "Hey, I've got Karen on line 3," whatever, that kind of thing. Nowadays, I can't even tell someone, "Hey, call me anytime. I'm just gonna be editing all afternoon, totally interruptible." I still get the email or the text ahead. It would now be a good time. Could we talk at 11? And I'm like, I just call me. It's like, I'm trying to give you the most access here. And
I
they don't
know.
want to take you up on it. They're scared of just placing the call.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some things that I have here next to me that I
Okay.
want well, first of all, I want you to share with everybody about your podcast
Oh,
that you
thank
have
you
with
very
Dan.
much. Dan, my cousin Dan and I, who run the Institute together, have a 12-year running podcast called Awesome Etiquette, where each week we answer modern etiquette or sometimes traditional etiquette questions, all supplied by our audience, which I've got to say they are an awesome audience. We are very fortunate to have some really thoughtful folks writing in, and we get really good questions about how to handle everything from "Oh, my sister-in-law always brings something even though I ask her not to our dinner. Do I have to serve the item she brings?" How can we plan a friend has always said, "Come let us know if you ever wanna come down. We've got a house in Florida." We'd like to take them up on that, but is that just inviting ourselves to someone's home to stay? Navigating everyday life situations, work email questions abound, all kinds of things like that. Each week, we also do an etiquette challenge. So we challenge you to think about a specific behavior for the week, whether that's holding a door for someone, focusing
Oh,
on your tone in email.
I
I
love
know it's
that.
it's a lot of
Lizzie, that's
fun.
fantastic, and I wanna know the answers to all those questions.
I bet.
Is it okay to take someone up on it if they extend the invitation?
Absolutely. It's okay. But you want to check in about it. Say, "Hey, you've mentioned a couple times that if we ever wanted to come to Florida, we should give you a call. I'm taking you up on that ask. Is there, would there be a good time, or we happen to have these dates available and wanted to check in if that would work for you. If not, I completely understand."
And then what about the sister-in-law that brings something every time you tell her not to?
That's one where I think it really depends on if she's someone you can talk to and say, "Hey, I really mean it when I say please don't bring anything at all. I know it can feel hard to show up to someone's house empty-handed, but it's truly my treat to get to do this, and I would feel so much better if you didn't feel burdened by having to bring something." If she in turn says, "I grew up in a world where you don't show up empty-handed," that's one where I might start listening to her a little bit and say, "Okay, could I work what she's bringing into the meal? Could I just say thank you so much? Does it really ruin anything if we have that extra dish on the buffet?" It might be that sometimes you explain to her, "Hey, I'm doing a really special meal, so don't worry about bringing anything to contribute to dinner." It might be that you say like, "But if you're dying to bring something, I would love it if you did something like this, or if you went in a hors d'oeuvres or dessert direction," that sort of thing.
Yeah, because I think that people like to li it brings people joy to
Yes.
bake or source something and to share it.
Yes.
But I do wanna say there was one I listened to, and we don't have to go into depth because I want everybody to
That's
listen to the
okay.
podcast. But it was a gal that called in and said that I believe it was her sister-in-law, was kind of ostracized from the family because she could not stop talking. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yes, and there was some question about neurodivergence, and the person who was there was the sister-in-law who was writing in or calling in said, "What's really hard about this is I am someone who gets overwhelmed. She
Yeah,
is someone who needs to talk so much. How do I balance this?" Yes. And we had to talk about the idea that coming at it from your perspective so she could hear that might help, like, letting her know that you're working on something where you take small breaks from conversations to be able to sort of recharge your battery in social situations, that sort of thing. So you bit more explained that you're gonna put a pause in the conversation and come back to her later another time.
right.
And I think we did a better job than that answering the
No, but
question in
that
the
makes
show.
sense. I mean, it was all about what you said earlier. It's all about communication
Yeah. And really thinking
and
about
being thoughtful.
what's yeah, thinking about it, okay, so if this is going on, is it really that big deal if that extra dish comes or if she talks my ear off for half an hour? Or is it something where, yes, that is a big deal and I do need to express myself here? And I think a lot of the times I think we can get worried about things, and when we actually step back and we think about what we would advise someone else to do, or how much does this really throw things off, it's not as big a deal as we think it is, and it
Right.
allows us to refocus and say, you know what, I can be gracious about this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just that pent up resentment that's been going on for so
Yeah,
long that this
that
is
can
the,
happen too.
3rd year or, you've been doing this for 3 years where you keep showing up with a dish and finally I've had it, rather than
Yeah.
taking a step back. Okay, so 100th anniversary, right, of Emily Post's
Yes,
etiquette book.
the
Okay.
centennial edition came out in 1920, or in nine sorry, in 2022
Yeah,
as
and
a
I
100th
y'all
anniversary.
shared something recently on Instagram that I thought was an excellent idea of gifting this to a new college graduate.
Graduate.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, that or our business book, both are excellent gifts for a college graduate,
So you have one
absolutely.
that's just for business?
We do, here, I can hold it up, it's right here. This is our business one.
Wow. I think
Ta-da!
everyone needs to have a copy of that and
Thank you.
the etiquette. Yeah. Now the other book that I recently it's not widely available, so I had to hunt for it.
Oh, great get-togethers, that's such a fun one.
This is a
You like
must
it?
I mean, I have been devouring this, Lizzie.
Oh, good.
It is everyone has to have a copy of this, and I think the
Thank
reason I
you.
like it is because it's not performative. There aren't pictures in here
Yeah.
of these elaborate Pinterest tables, although you
Yes.
do give a lot of different party theme ideas, or at least
Yeah.
just suggestions, like a cheese party, and let's see what else is in here, a
I
cocktail
would like to go
party.
to a cheese party, I think that's
I
probably why.
know. I mean, there's a few pictures in here, but it's mainly just ideas, it's menus,
Yep.
it's, can I help? It's a mixture of etiquette, it's time. I mean, it's just
Oh,
I
I'm
wish
so glad you like it. I love that book.
they need to bring this back into print.
Well, please tell our publisher.
I mean, because this is exactly what I preach.
Mhm.
It's just casual gatherings,
Casual
elegant
yeah,
and elegant parties at home, and it's
yeah.
just and it's co-authored by Anna Post, and who is that to you?
That's my sister. So when she was
Oh,
at the institute, there was a time where I worked with my mother, my father, and my sister, and it was my entire immediate family showing up to the office each day. And that was definitely a really special time. She actually lives just down the street
oh,
from me.
she
There's a school in
does?
between us, so I get to
Okay.
see my little niece and nephew all the time, and
Well,
she decided to try something else, so she went a different direction after Emily Post, but
tell her how
it's
much
she's a
I'm
special
enjoying
lady.
y'all''s book. It is really
Good. I
good.
will.
So
I
I wanna
will.
wrap
Thank you.
up because I know you're
Okay.
busy. You need to go out and etiquette everybody, but
I have all the time in the world for you, Melissa.
Brittany and I do a fun thing called Porch Talk Speed Round, where we ask
Oh,
each other the
okay.
same question, but we get different answers.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just do it for you, and I
Okay.
have, I think, 10 questions. They're super
Okay.
simple, but the answer would be either polished or
Okay.
pass.
Pass as in, like,
Like,
don't
I don't think that's a good idea.
okay, gotcha.
Okay?
Polish or pass.
Right.
Okay.
So you've been asked to bring a dessert to a party and you bring a
Mhm.
store-bought dessert instead of homemade. Poshed, a pass or polished?
Oh, polished. You can do either for sure.
I love that answer.
Good.
Texting thank you instead of sending a handwritten note. Polished or pass?
Oh, it depends on what the thank you's for. I'm sorry. I had to g I'm such a rule
No.
breaker.
No, no, no. So expand on that.
So, I would say super normal and easy. My girlfriends and I text each other thank you after we get together for a brunch or somebody hosts somebody all the time. It is such a polished move. Like, it is fine. It is completely okay. Where I put it in the past category is if you get a gift from somebody and you haven't been able to open it in front of them. I think taking that extra time for the actual handwritten note is really nice. But I say that, and I would be thrilled if my goddaughter gave me a text message that just said, "Hey, I love the Taylor Swift iPhone case you got me." You know what I mean? Or something like
Right.
that.
So
I would love that.
so
So it
mainly
really
the
just
more
depends.
so mainly
Yeah.
the moral of the story is at least acknowledge it.
At least acknowledge. The acknowledgement gives it the polish.
I
Absolutely.
love
Not
that.
acknowledging, that's what I would pass on.
Asking guests to bring a dish to a dinner party, that's not a potluck.
Iffy. I would say pass. I would explain it's a potluck if we're doing potlucks, but but it doesn't have to be potluck where everybody gets to choose exactly what they want, you know?
Mhm.
You can say, "I'm hosting a backyard barbecue. We'll cover the burgers. If you want to bring a side, that would be great." I don't know if that counts as a dinner party or a potluck. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. So you feel like if someone says, "I'd love for you to come to on Saturday for dinner at 6," that if you extend that invitation, you really should be willing to prepare the menu yourself, unless
I
they
think
say, "Well,
so.
can I bring something?"
Correct. I
And
think
then
that
you
you
could say,
just
"You
got
know
the
what?
nuance.
You
Yes.
make a great salad, and I can't seem to ever pull salads off. Could you bring that?"
Yes, and I also think that would be among close friends, if I know that you make that great salad, I'd say, "Hey, I'm really looking to do a dinner party on Friday, would love to have you and Jeffrey there. Would you be willing to bring that amazing salad that you make? I know I won't get it right, and I would love for everybody to experience it. Would that be okay?" And you could say, "Oh, darling, this week is just not the week to ask me, but I will be there with bells on otherwise," or
Okay.
you could say, "I can't no, that would be absolutely easy to do. I'm happy to."
And
You
that
know?
goes to your mission, which is graciousness and
Yes,
kindness, and, that's great. Okay, few more.
absolutely. Okay.
Showing up more than 15 minutes late to a small gathering.
Pass.
I hate it when people are late.
Yeah.
Unless they've called you and said, like, "Hey,
Right.
I put something in the oven and it's taking a little longer than necessary. I'm on
Yes.
my way." Now that's
Yep.
okay, but just to be one of those people that just never can seem to get it together and they're always late. Oh.
Yes. That does drive me nuts, and well, I might say too, like a bigger party, you might have a half-hour window. At a smaller gathering, and when it's just a dinner party, there is no window. You show up on time, and with whatever food you've been if you're contributing something, it is ready to go. It is not something that you waltz into their kitchen with and start, like, preparing the
Assembling it.
platter there. It
Yes.
is ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I've counseled or have coached women when they say, I always invite these people and then they arrive with, like, the salad mixings, like, still in the grocery bag. And I'm
yeah.
like, "Well, here's the thing is you need to use your voice to give them expectation. Because if you don't
Yes.
tell them, they're gonna think it's okay, but if
It's
you could just
casual.
say,
Yeah.
'I love it when you bring something,' if you could bring it already ready to go,
Yes.
it will work better for my timeline." And people are gonna
Yes.
be like, "Sure, great, whatever, fine." Yeah,
My mom likes to say, "The kitchen's gonna be a little chaotic, so if you can have it ready to go, that would be awesome."
I
That
love
that
that.
line comes out at Thanksgiving a lot.
Using your phone at the table to quickly check a message.
Pass, 100% pass. We do not do that, not when we're dining with other people.
What if you wanna take a picture of the food?
That's something where I would depend on the occasion. I would not do that at a formal meal ever, but
Okay.
I might do that if my girlfriends and I are out to dinner and we're at a really cool restaurant that's done some neat plating or something like that. I might say, "Does anyone mind if I take a quick picture? This looks so good."
Oh, so you're asking if anyone would mind. Okay, I
Yeah.
need to probably do that because I'm a content creator and I love photography and pictures. So I would be the
See
first
there.
one just be like snapping pictures, and I'm not thinking about the fact that the host may not want that to be happening.
I
Okay.
noticed at my last girlfriend's dinner right around Christmas, which shows you that my girlfriends and I need to get together again soon, that I was the only one whose phone was out face down on the table, and I was a little embarrassed about that. About halfway through the meal, I was like, "We're putting that in the pocket. Nobody else is doing this right now." So,
Okay.
it
Okay.
was one of those things.
Leaving a party early without saying goodbye to the host, polished or
Oh,
pass?
pass, unless it's a giant, like, open house party where you come and go and there's 150 plus people there. That it's okay to just, come and go as you please. But other than that, you are always seeking out your host to say your goodbyes.
Okay. Bringing an uninvited guest, like, "I hope it's okay that I brought a friend."
Pass, never. No. No, 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 no. We are more lenient on checking in, but the check-in should come from the place of, "Hey, listen, I have a friend in town. This came up last minute, surprise visit. I know we had plans to do this. I just wanted to check in with you because I didn't want to spring an uninvited guest on you."
Yeah,
It gives the host the chance to say, "Bring them, the more the merrier." Or, "Oh gosh, I'm so glad you asked. I made tiny little squabs for dinner and there's only enough squab for 5 people." You know what I mean?
right,
I
and
think it's the right way
also,
to go.
she's probably set a really pretty table, and now she's got to, try to
Adjust.
adjust, and if she's only got 6 plates and there's a 7th guest, then,
I
I get
know.
that.
I
Okay,
know.
sending a follow-up text after a gathering saying, "I had the best time."
That's a polish. Yes, absolutely. I love that follow-up text that says, "I had a great time."
Okay. Hosting a beautiful gathering, but ordering takeout instead of cooking.
Totally fine. Not pass as in it gets a pass, polished as in that is fine to do.
Yes.
Just remember to serve it in servingware, not out of the takeout containers.
Right. And that's the other thing that I coach women about is they're like, "Well, I'm not really a good cook," or "I've got 3 kids all in elementary school and
No
I work full
time.
time." I'm like, "Do you live near an Olive Garden? Because they make
Yeah.
great pasta, soup, and breadsticks and just and your own stuff and nobody will ever know the difference."
Shout out Olive Garden.
Yeah, well, you know what? Brittany and I talk about Olive Garden almost on every episode
I
because we
love that.
record on Sundays before
Mhm.
lunch,
Yeah.
and we're like, "God, I'm so hungry," and so we're like, "We need to get Olive Garden to
To sponsor the show.
sponsor our show."
Yes.
Okay, one last one, not
Okay.
offering guests a drink immediately upon arrival.
Oh, okay, so this is it polished. I think you should do sorry, you should offer them is what I'm trying to say. I am terrible about this. I am that host that girlfriend comes over, it's just us hanging out. It takes me half an hour to realize I haven't offered her a glass of water. Who am I? Like, I write books on this. I have a weekly show that talks about entertaining regularly. How has this not been drilled into my thick head yet?
That's funny. Okay, so here's one last closer. In your
Okay.
opinion, what's the most charming thing a guest can do, and what's the most gracious thing a host can do?
A host's most charming thing that they could do is to participate. And I
Mm,
mean on all levels. So they can RSVP and let you know that they're coming to your party. They can show up on time in the proper attire. They can offer to help, but be fine if you turn them down. They talk to everybody at the party.
mm,
They engage without, being a little satellite on you or helicopter on you. They participate and they let you know when they're leaving and they say thank you, then and hopefully they shoot a text the next day that says thank you.
right.
But those I think it's the participation that gets me with a guest is when guests come over and they are fully ready to be there with you. That is a beautiful thing. And then
Absolutely.
for hosts, I think it's really important for hosts to really understand that hosting means taking care of your guests. Now, I do not mean that you have to be a doormat and let someone behave atrociously in your home and, break your stuff or be rude to your other guests and that sort of thing. Hosts should feel like they can have a backbone and stand up when guest behavior goes too far. But I really do think that it is a job of a host. You are paying, You are in the driver's seat. You're taking the lead on things. You're not asking. I mean, potlucks are a totally different thing. And the same way we've talked about asking people if they'd like to bring a dish or if they offer taking them up on it, all okay. But it's not okay to send a Venmo to your friends afterwards asking for $50 after they attended dinner at your house.
Do people
Like,
do that?
yes, they do. It is despicable, I will say.
Oh my
It is the
gosh.
wrong way to go about it. Now, it's a completely different thing. If you and your friends are excited about your first apartment or your first place on your own, and you guys say together we want to throw a really fancy party. What if we all chipped in $100 and we're
Absolutely.
able to
That's
get the nice steak and the shrimp and the this, and someone can order the cake from this place? That's an organized event. That is very different from hosting. Hosting, you are taking care of your guests.
I love that. Well,
Oh, good.
Lizzie, this has been such a pleasure. I could just talk with you all day
I
long.
was gonna say, Melissa, do we have to end it? Like, this is so much fun.
Well, maybe we can have you back for
I
future
would love to.
for future seasons. We're getting ready to wrap up season 3 and take a little break. So
Congratulations.
maybe we could do a holiday themed etiquette show.
I would love that. I would
Okay, I will take
absolutely
you up
love
on
that.
that. Thank
And
you
let
so
me
much.
know next spring if you want to do a wedding themed show, because I will
Oh,
have our wedding book out. I'll have my new wedding podcast out. We'll be all over it.
oh, I can't wait. So how they just need to follow Emily Post and like sign up for emails to be on top of all the latest things rolling out.
You got it. In fact, probably the best place to do that is on our Substack, which is called Emily Post Etiquette on Substack. So
Okay.
feel free to go to emilypost.substack.com. You can sign up for a free or a paid subscription there, whichever works for you. But that's a really great place. We usually announce everything there, and then
Okay.
it finds its way to our website.
We'll make sure to put all that in the show
Oh,
notes.
thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So, what a great interview. I
Oh,
think
so
what stood
good.
out to me with Emily is how forward thinking and a
Mm.
pioneer Emily was. And that was highly unusual, as I said earlier before we listened to the interview, that writing books and traveling by car as a woman, unaccompanied, and starting the Institute is phenomenal to me.
Yeah. She was very before her time,
Yes.
which is so
Yeah.
cool.
And and one of the things that Lizzie said is that the whole thing about etiquette, it's not to embarrass your guests. It's
Mm,
not to call attention to the fact that they did something that was maybe not correct. It's to be gracious.
mhm.
And I really had never thought about that Emily's whole thing with place settings was that she just wanted to make it simple. I don't know how we got into the dinner fork, the salad
Mhm.
fork, the knife, the dessert spoon, and everything has to be so detailed that you've just totally confused your
Mhm.
guest. And Emily was very like,
Just put out what you need.
put out what you need. That's all. And
Mhm.
make it easy for your guests. I just
Yeah.
thought that was great. So we're going to talk a little bit about the unspoken etiquette of being a guest and the
Mhm.
unspoken etiquette of being a host. But
Mhm.
what did you think about? What were your takeaways from her
Oh my
talk?
god. I had a lot of takeaways, but one thing that I really loved is that it's kind of the same thing that you said. It's not about impressing people, but it's about considering them. And that kind of even goes back to last week when we interviewed Lydia and considering the guests. But I think that's something we've been trying to say for a long time through the Sentimental Twist podcast. All of our episodes when we talk about hospitality is just not look what I did, but I thought of you, and I care about you. And when you start to see it that way, it kind of puts the pressure off the hosting for you about having it perfect. We always talk with host with intention, not perfection. That's Melissa's tagline. But a beautiful table is great and done right. It's great, but it's really about being thoughtful for those people. Um, I like that she said it doesn't have to be super elaborate, like hosting. You mentioned the table and just put out what you need. Just keep it simple for people, keep it relational for people. And I also really loved the last little segment that y'all did about like polish or pass. I loved her insights on a lot of those questions. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, she's a really neat person. And she's written, I shared it in the interview, but I want to show everybody again. It's unfortunately, it's not in wide prints. You have to find it through thrift stores, but it's
Mhm.
called Great Get Togethers by Emily Post Great Get Togethers, but it's written by Anna Post, which is Lizzie's cousin or sister. No, they're sisters.
Sister,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's casual gatherings, elegant dinner parties at home. And honestly, if I were to write a book, which I plan to do someday, this is the exact kind of book I would plan
Uh-huh.
because it walks you through menus, ideas. I mean, if you are a new host, this would be a great
Mhm.
addition to your library because you could literally just open it and go, I have no idea what I'm doing, but if I just follow this book, then I'll know exactly what to do. I mean,
Yeah.
this is great. And I wish it were still in print. It was printed, it was published in, and you can tell this was a library book. Look at that.
I love that.
It was a library book at one time that got, I guess, pulled from the library. It was published in 2010.
Okay.
So that just goes to show you how timeless hosting
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
I mean, the color schemes may have changed,
Mm.
the trends in terms of I don't know, decor,
Themes. Mhm.
but hosting doesn't change.
No.
So I'm excited because since I did this interview, Emily reached out to the publisher of the Mind Your Manners game, and they have a few they want to give away. Yeah. So if you're interested in receiving this free trivia game, we have a
Fun.
couple we can give away. But here's how you
Mm.
have to win. You
Mm.
have to send us an email to the Sentimental Twist podcast at gmail.com
Yes.
and let us know that you would love to have this game to play or to learn more about etiquette or play with your kids or
Mhm.
grandkids. So if you email us, we'll give you until, let's see, this episode's going to air April 30th.
Mhm.
We'll give you till May 4th
Okay.
to email
Monday.
us. Let us know, yes, I would love to be entered to win a Mind Your Manners game, trivia game. And we'll draw 2 random winners, and whoever wins, we'll have the publishing company send them to you. I think the Institute will send them to you. So
Okay.
anyway, I don't know how you'll get them, but you'll get them.
You'll
So,
get one.
but I
Awesome.
want to talk about the unspoken etiquette of being a guest and what makes a dream guest.
Mm. Hmm.
Arriving with awareness, not just on time.
Mm.
Now, what does that mean? It's not just about being punctual, it's about reading the moment.
Mhm.
It's not arriving too early. Heavens to Betsy, don't arrive too early unless the host has given you a directive to come early to help. But
Yes.
if she's told you to arrive at 6 or shortly minutes after.
Okay.
Not 6:15,
Mhm.
6:20,
Yes.
not 6:30, not
Mm.
6:45.
Yeah.
You
I
have a
like
very
Lizzie
short
was like,
window.
"There is no window for a dinner party. Be on time."
If it's an open house
I
and the
have
open
a
house.
particular male friend who loves to arrive early, and it drives me nuts.
It drives me nuts, and I
Mhm.
have to say most of my friends are pretty respectful. I do know there's always a few that are gonna be late, and that's okay. I've kinda
Mhm.
built that into our time because
Mhm.
typically what I do is I'll say, "Come at a certain time, and for about an hour, we're gonna sip and have appetizers."
Mhm.
So that allows for people who are chronically late
Mhm.
to show up, and then we start dinner hard, at a hard time. But also showing up, and sensing whether just kind of be aware of what your role is as a guest is
Mhm.
not to is bringing energy, not just a dish.
Mhm.
you know we've all had long days, but when a host has invited you, they expect you to be present. So engage in conversation,
Yeah.
ask thoughtful questions, show genuine interest in others, especially if there's new people that are there. You want to make them feel welcome. Matching the tone. Is it uplifting? Is it relaxed? Is it celebrating? You're not just attending, you're adding to the enjoyment of the evening.
Mhm.
Complimenting with specificity. And your
Oh,
host
yeah.
went to a lot of trouble to plan this evening, even if it's all from our favorite restaurant
Olive Garden.
and it's all disposable. She still cleaned her house. She showered. She put on a
Mhm.
pretty dress. So the table looks so inviting, would be a nice thing to say. Oh my gosh, this cocktail is so
Mhm.
thoughtful, and you named it after me? Thank you. What's in it? You made this feel so easy and welcoming. I really needed this tonight. And
Mhm.
also, if you can, if you have the time, a hostess gift is always a nice
Mhm.
gesture because it affirms the effort without making the host feel evaluated.
Yeah.
And let's talk about hostess gifts. It could be
Yeah.
as simple as a cute package of cocktail napkins wrapped in a bow with a thoughtful note. Does
Right.
not have to be expensive. It could be roses from your garden that are already put in like a jam jar.
Little
So
jar.
she doesn't have to look for a vase.
Yes. Refer back
Respect
to season 1, maybe, when we talked about hosting
Yeah, we need to probably
hostess
come back
gifts.
and do hostess gifts for season 4.
Mhm. Mhm.
Kind of bring that up to date again. Respecting the host's flow. Every gathering has an invisible rhythm.
Mhm.
Not rearranging things or helping without being invited. Letting the host lead the timing, when to eat, when, I know you're probably hungry, then have an extra hard boiled egg or a deviled egg. Ask before bringing something because the host may already have a dessert planned. So support, don't override is basically the
Mhm.
message for that. Reading when to stay and when to go. This is a big one and rarely just talked about. Is maybe you don't want to be the first guest to leave because that's disruptive, but you also don't want to be the last guest to leave unless you're
Mhm.
just like really close to the
Yeah.
host and you have kind of like that Anna and Brittany
Mhm.
relationship. Like Anna may be staying to help clean up afterward,
Yeah.
or maybe you
Yeah.
and Anna need to have a talk about a boy or something. But just watching for cues. If you're looking over at your host and she just seems kind of like glazed over, and she's dimming the lights and softening the music and kind of going into the kitchen and then it's probably
Tidying
time
up.
for you to go, you know what? We have had such a great time. Being easy to host. This might be the highest compliment. Not
Yeah.
making the host accommodate excessive preferences last minute. If you have dietary issues, or maybe she already knows it, or maybe she isn't aware that you've changed your dietary focus, please let her know.
Mhm.
And for goodness sake, I teach my little, you call them nibblings.
Mhm.
I teach my nibblings this all the time. When I offer them something that they don't like, they'll say, I don't like that. And I'll say, there's a better way you can say that that won't hurt the person's feelings.
Mhm.
No, thank you. I don't care for any, or
Yeah.
I'm full.
Mhm.
So be flexible and gracious. Remember that you're there to enjoy and not complicate.
Yes. It's nice.
So, what
That's
about
a
you,
good one.
Brittany? You wanted to talk about being a
Yeah.
good host.
Yes, I'm gonna talk about the unspoken etiquette of being a host. And so, similar to a guest, read the room and make adjustments if you need to without it being obvious. I think that is kind of important. So, a great host is always gently kind of observing the situation, observing if the energy's dipping or if conversations are lulling or if somebody feels a little out of place or left out in conversation. They can help redirect conversation or start topics of conversation that they know those people can participate in and will enjoy participating in, like pulling them in without putting them on the spot. You know, that's important. So, social awareness and being like observant of the energy and the vibe is very important as a host because everyone will benefit from that when you are helping the flow and energy of the night or afternoon or morning brunch, whatever it may be. So set the emotional tone at the door is another one. So the way you greet someone is the beginning of that experience besides the invitation, which we've talked about before. That's the first part. But when you greet them, when they come in, make sure you're making eye contact, welcoming them in, giving them like a first step. Hey, let me take your bag. Let me take your coat and I'll get you a drink. Like making it feel very easy for them to flow into the home or the environment without feeling like they're just coming in sort of without knowing what to do next. Introduce them right away to people they may not know or connect them. If you have to go back and do some hosting things, connect them into the group conversation if a group is already there. Give them that you belong here feeling, like within the first 30 seconds to a minute, that they know that they're welcome and that you're excited that they're at your house or in your environment. Never let a guest wonder, what do I do? That's important because I have been to places where it's like you just kind of walk in and there's no clear, where do I put, if it's a party or where there's a gift, where do I put the gift? Like making it very clear what they should do next. Confusion is the fastest way to make someone feel like they're not safe, what they feel uncomfortable. So give them clear cues, where to put the bags, where the drinks are, like I mentioned, where to sit, guidance without controlling them, directing the flow, hey, there's appetizers on the table or in the kitchen, or hey, you're welcome to fix your own cocktail, whatever you'd like. I've set the drink station up here, if that's the vibe of the night. So give them that in leadership, guidance, sort of naturally and invisibly, so they don't feel like you're telling them what to do, but you're giving them an in and giving them a next step. I think an important thing about being a hostess is anticipating needs before they come up. And I think this is just really being a good person, is anticipating needs before they're voiced. And so refilling glasses, offering to take a plate to the kitchen. I have some really good, sweet friends who are always first to say, "Oh, are you done? Let me take your plate for you and get it out of your way." Like that is always so nice because it feels like you're being cared for in that way. Having options, like you mentioned, the dietary needs things, having options for the people with the different dietary needs without it being a thing and pointing it out and being like, these are for so and so because they're lactose intolerant. Like don't don't have that conversation.
So that is Emily Post's number one cardinal rule, is that you never call attention to a guest. You can take that guest aside and say, I want you to know that there are several things on the buffet that will meet your dietary needs. Let me know if you need anything, but you never like yell across the room, "Hey,
Like,
Brittany,
that one's gluten free
I
for
know
you.
you've been having a lot of gas lately, so I made sure to not serve beans." I mean, that's a quick way to ruin a friendship and
Yeah.
be a terrible host. So
Yes.
anyway,
Yes.
don't do that.
But doing things like this, like anticipating the needs and before they're even voiced or before it's even a possibility that they would come up, is a way to say, I've thought about you before you don't even have to ask. I'm taking care of you. Another way to be a good host is protect your guests' comfort. And sometimes we all probably have situations like this where you might have to prevent something so that the guests stay comfortable. So steering them away from controversial topics, changing the subject. What is it? Don't ever talk about politics and religion, like keep it light and fun, and that people don't feel uncomfortable in the environment, especially if there are people with opposing viewpoints in your group.
Right.
Intervene subtly when a guest begins to dominate the conversation or interrupt. This one is hard because we all know people that are very talkative, outspoken, or I don't even think they realize it, that they are dominating the conversation sometimes.
Right.
And so, maybe having some strategies going into it, if you know that that person is that way or someone in your occasion, in your gathering is that way, to kind of plan for being able to redirect and intervene in that space. And then another thing is to make sure no one's ever left alone. You know, you kind of have to be the social buffer as the host in the situation sometimes, especially when it's a group of people who aren't necessarily familiar with each other and you know more about them than they do each other, which is sometimes happens and sometimes you have to be the buffer in the environment when people do know each other. So that's
Can I piggyback on that?
yeah.
Is that, when you're planning your gathering and you're creating the guest list, you don't have to always invite the same people every time.
Mhm.
And sometimes there's two couples or one person from each couple that for whatever reason, they just don't ever see eye to eye on anything.
Mm.
If you feel like that you have to include those couples because they're special to you, that's great, but don't seat them near each other.
Yeah.
I've had that happen, and I get both sides of hearing the feedback on that.
Mhm.
So either exclude one couple and include one couple, and then include one couple and exclude the other. But
Mhm.
if they're important to you and you love them and you want them to be present at your gatherings, consider if you have maybe planned seating and seat them in different sections of the table.
Mhm.
Doesn't
That's
mean that they don't like each other. It's just that their viewpoints just don't
mhm.
mesh. And you
It
want to
might
make
be.
everybody comfortable. So
And sometimes the most awkward thing is being a third party to a conversation that is a little tense. And you don't want any of your other guests to feel like, "Ooh, that was weird."
awkward,
Yes.
awkward. Yeah.
Yes. So my last one, and this one I really like, is know when to circulate and know when to land. So you're not meant to stay in one spot all night, that's for sure. So you may be floating between guests and conversations so everyone feels your attention has been given to them and they've been seen. But also, sitting long enough to have a meaningful moment with people and not be all around trying to be in everybody. And see, I have a tendency to want to be in everybody's conversation. So I have to purposely spend time and focus and remember to be a good listener. Um, and that is something that is important to make people feel like they've been heard and you're not just bouncing around to everybody and nobody's really getting any of your undivided attention. So
Right.
it's a rhythm.
Yeah.
Move around
And
with
I
purpose.
and I think that your job as a host is to make sure that everyone is introduced,
Hmm.
and that kind of goes back to things we've talked about before when you're planning your guest list is to try to create a guest list where people can make connection.
Hmm.
Try to find those lines, Brittany's in education. You are
Hmm.
too. I thought y'all could have some great, you know, or Brittany needs us help with this, like
Hmm.
copywriting her content and you're a
Hmm.
copyright attorney. I thought it would be great for y'all to meet tonight.
Yeah.
You're almost kind of like a matchmaker as
Hmm.
a host, and you never want anyone to feel like they're just kind of sitting over in the corner. And I think another thing I wanted to add too is that when you are hosting a party, it's nice to name an ambassador that's an extension of you. That could be the one if you're really busy on the back patio, grilling or whatever, and the guest is walking into an empty home. It's like what you
Hmm.
said. They need to
Yeah.
know what the territory is. They're like, wait, is the party not tonight? Where is
Hmm.
everybody? That you name someone like an Anna
Hmm.
who is, or in my case, it might be like a Catherine,
Hmm.
who is like, your job tonight is to greet everybody that comes to the door, make sure they know where the bathroom is, where they can put their purse. If you
Hmm.
brought a hostess gift, take it from them, get them a drink, and then bring them outside.
Hmm.
And there's always somebody in your party who wants to be your ambassador,
Yeah.
who
Can
wants
help.
to be an
Mhm.
extension of you. So,
Yeah. I love that. I love this conversation. It's something we don't really talk about a lot is the etiquette of these things. Like we give you ideas and tips and tricks, but sometimes it's just, good to revisit what really makes people feel appreciated as a host and as a guest. So
yeah, absolutely. So, okay, well, that was fun. I
it
like
was.
that.
Yeah.
And don't forget to send us your email at the
Yes.
sentimentaltwistpodcast@gmail.com if you want to be entered to win. We're giving away 2 of these Mind Your Manners trivia games from the Emily Post Institute of Etiquette. And I want to thank again Lizzie Post for being our guest today.
Yeah.
She talked about it in the podcast, and I think I may do it,
Oh.
is go to their summer camp. I don't know that I'll do it this summer, but they have a camp where you can
Hmm.
come and you are trained to become an etiquette coach.
Interesting.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be cool.
I mean, that would be such a deep dive.
Hmm.
I asked her if there was a test and she said no. And I said, okay, well, then I might do it. I don't like to take tests.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have to take a driving test again anytime soon since I think this next time my driver's license expires, I have to get it renewed because I've not had to go for years to get a new
That's a
picture
thing.
taken.
Okay. I was like, that's a thing you have to redo the driving test to keep your license.
I don't know.
Sometimes I think that needs to be a thing for
I know
people.
I can still drive, but don't ask me to parallel park. I can parallel park, but it's not my favorite thing. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Here's our favorite Porch Talk speed round where we
Yes.
ask each other questions and give quick responses so we can peel the curtain back to see so you can learn who we really are. And usually
Yes.
Brittany and I's answer is the same.
Yes.
I'm going to start by asking you,
Okay. Okay.
do you prefer to host the gathering or be invited to one?
Both, please. No.
Okay.
But I love to go to a party. I like to be the ambassador, like you mentioned earlier, for my friends and help them. But I also really love having people in my home. And so if I had to lean one way, it would be host because then I don't have to leave my house. But um, I do enjoy being served as a guest, being a guest in an event and occasion as well. So, but
Stay up way too late talking or be the first to slip out quietly?
well, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I'm not a fan of the Irish goodbye. Nobody should ever leave with that just slipping out. That Irish goodbye where they leave and they just disappear and somebody's like, "Where'd so and so go?" "Oh, I think they left." Like that should never happen.
And
People do
Lizzie
that.
talked about that in her talk.
Mhm.
Absolutely, under no circumstances do you ever leave without thanking the host, unless it's like a huge open house
Mhm.
and there's just tons of people and it's just kinda like a come and go
Yes.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
come and go thing.
Yeah.
But no, for me, I'm kind of it kinda depends on the situation and the occasion, whether I'm there later and longer or I leave earlier. Like, on those bigger events like that, yes, I'm usually one that's gonna dip out. If it's a drop in between 2 and 4, I'm dropping in and dropping out. But, of course, I'm always going to say something to the host before I leave. But, like, when I am a guest, most of the time, it's somewhere with someone that I care about, and I'm gonna be the one, if they need me to stay behind and help clean up. So, that is like the ambassador, the helper.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, gotta readjust my knee.
How is that knee doing?
That knee is kneeing.
Coming
It's
along.
good.
It's
It's good.
kneeing.
It's coming along.
Okay, barefoot on the porch or dressed up for dinner?
Gosh, I love both. Like, I can't pick.
You gotta pick
Um,
one.
okay, not barefoot on the porch, but casual. I think I prefer a more casual get together. Like my Sunday suppers, they're just very low key friends. You don't have to be cute. We have a good time. We enjoy each other's company. We have a little connection before the week begins, before the busyness begins, and that's one of my favorite gatherings and occasions. But that doesn't mean I don't like to get dressed up and have a nice dinner as well. So,
Yeah.
but I'm picking the casual barefoot porch.
Your mom's kitchen or your grandmother's?
I'm not picking.
You have to pick. That's
I'm
the
not
whole point
picking.
of this.
Okay, so all of these
Okay,
were hard.
describe for me what your grandmother and your mother's kitchens look like.
Okay, so okay, I'll start with Mama's. Okay, so a rectangle shaped kitchen with a big island in the middle that had a sink, like a little service sink on the end, a really large double basin sink with a stained glass window above it that she designed. It had her little desk on the end, and then the breakfast room is open to it and the breakfast table attached, which I have that table and chairs in my sunroom now. It was white or like creamy white and very Mary Englebright
Mhm.
vibes. Very cute. Granny's, her mother's, long, narrow, but wide, still kind of wide, not super narrow. Like it had a big bar, and that's where I had breakfast with them when I spent the night. And the cooktop was on the bar in her kitchen. But wooden cabinets, very country. The back windows are to the peanut field. The sink overlooked the peanut field in the back and all of her roses that she had along the fence.
Oh,
And my other grandmother, my Meemaw, my daddy's mom, she had the big white cast iron sink with the soap, with the scrub, uh, what's that called? The washboard kind of situation on the end and the drying rack, metal, like mid-century metal cabinetry. The breakfast table was in the kitchen. It was more of the retro, like olive greens and very 70s, very late 60s, early 70s. I think that's when they did the kitchen actually, and they're renovated it. But if I had to pick of all three, I think I would pick the one I want to be in the most right now is my mom. So
are you missing your mom a lot?
always. But this time of year, Mother's Day's coming up, things like that.
Yeah. And with you having your knee surgery, whenever we're not feeling good or we're hurting, we always want our mamas.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I feel
that's
for
true.
you, honey.
Mhm. But it's fine. It's been good. I have people that love me, and I feel her very present still in my life, and so because I'm surrounded by her, and so but it's just sometimes I just I'll look at friends my age with their parents, and I'm like and Anna feels this way too because she's lost both of her parents, but it's like, it's not fair. So,
It's hard.
it is.
How long have you been without your mom?
8.5 years.
Yeah,
Almost done.
my mom's been gone since 2013, so it's been 13 years.
Wow. Mhm.
And it's so interesting. I know we've talked about birds before, but I swear every day a cardinal is singing to me.
Yeah.
And the first thing I say is, "Hi, mama."
Uh-huh.
Or actually, I didn't call her mama. My daughter calls me mama, but I called my mother mother.
Mhm.
And I'll say, "Hi, mother." I mean, she's out in the backyard when I go out in the morning. I could be at there's a outdoor shopping mall that's just 10 minutes from here. And I was up there for whatever reason. I was there in 24-hour period. I was up there 3 times, meeting people for lunch, meeting my nephews and my sister for dinner, going back up for an event yesterday. And there was a red bird. So our mothers are with us all the time, but I understand you long for that physical presence.
Yes, yes, I do. And you about the birds, I have a basket of faux magnolia leaves and I have a bow on it, and I was gonna switch it out to a wreath, but there's a bird's nest in it, so I can't do that.
Ah.
And I hear the baby, like, I'm sitting here and I can see, and I see the mama, it's not a cardinal, but I see the mama fly and I hear the baby's chirp when
Well,
she comes back.
yeah. What kind of
It's
bird is she?
I don't know, I haven't gotten a good look at her, but probably just a little,
I wonder if she's a dove.
I don't think it's a dove.
They build the most I don't know what God was thinking when he invented the dove. They build the worst nests. They're very haphazard, and I don't know if it's because doves have vision issues. They have they have very, like, you ever
Yeah.
almost driven on top of a dove?
Yeah.
I think it's because 'cause they're very nearsighted, and they don't know what they're doing. So,
Mhm.
anyway, somebody needs to intervene. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
um, so we decided it was gonna be your mama's kitchen.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Passing dishes around or plating everything ahead. We talked about that last episode.
We did a little bit. We talked about buffet or plated, but I thinking about it now, yes, it's serve yourself, but a lot of times with my group of friends, like core friends that get together, we do it family style where the dishes are on the table, and I love that.
I
Like,
do
we talked about the
too.
nachos, the barbecue nachos. We just put those on the table and all the fixins, and everybody just makes their plate, and we sit there and pass it around and grab and make our plate, and it's just
I
very
have a
casual.
request when Julie and I come. Can you make one
Okay.
of those pulled
Yes.
pork nachos?
I will.
We need to have pulled pork nachos, and definitely I have to try uh, the peanuts.
Yep, we'll have some boiled peanuts. I'll see if my
'Cause
brother has
I'm
some.
really not convinced I'm gonna like that. And I
That's
would
okay.
like to have some of your grandmother, was it your granny or your meemaw
I don't know
that
which
did
what is it?
the cornbread, skillet cornbread?
Meemaw.
Okay, and you have to have some of that.
I will do a full-on Sunday lunch for you,
But
and
isn't
then we'll
Sunday
have the leftover pulled pork for nachos for dinner.
isn't the da isn't aren't we going to the beach on a Sunday?
Yeah, we can make it work, though. I'll figure it
Okay.
out.
Alright. Alright, now you
Mhm.
get to ask me.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Alright, host the gathering or be invited to one?
If I'm really honest, I wanna host the gathering, I don't wanna leave my house.
I know.
And if I'm really honest, I would like to host a gathering I don't have to put any makeup on
Uh-huh. Mhm, mhm,
and just have on jeans and a t-shirt or
mhm.
jeans and shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm about
Um,
that life too.
I just, I just I like being in my home.
Me too.
like you, I'm not opposed to going to someone else's house. I love to go to other people's homes. I love to go to my friend Catherine's house.
Mhm.
The problem is that Catherine wears makeup all the time, and so I can't ever show up at her house without makeup on.
She's always gonna be cute. That's the
Yeah.
best thing when you have a friend like Anna. Anna and I, it will
Anna's
be
on the
like,
same page.
"Are you getting cute?" "Okay, me either."
Yeah,
You
I'll
know?
text Catherine and I'll say, "Do you have on makeup today?" And I know what she's gonna say. "Yes." I'm like, "Damn it, I've gotta put on makeup then."
One year, we were celebrating Christmas. It was before we did the it was before we lost our mom, so it was just our Christmas get together. We weren't doing the whole, like, shopping for each other like our mamas did. But we were gonna get together just do our Christmas gifts, and I texted her and said, "What time?" And she said, "Such and such." And I said, "Can I not be cute?" And she was like, "I'm not planning to be." It's like, "All right."
Oh, I love that.
It was the best. So,
I mean, I
yeah.
really missed this past Christmas, I missed my sister coming for Christmas and us doing our Christmas Eve, but It was so nice to just go to Phoebe's apartment, and she had pajamas waiting for us, and we got into pajamas. I had no makeup on, and we just sat on the couch and ate a girl dinner with
Low
Mr.
key.
Twist, and we watched The Holiday, and it was so nice.
That's fun. Yeah. Okay. Next
Alright.
question. Stay up way too late talking or be the first to slip out quietly?
Well, I don't like to stay up late,
Yeah, that's true.
but I would never leave a party without saying goodbye to the host.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably a slip out early,
Mm-hmm.
but I always say goodbye.
Yeah.
I'm never the one usually to stay until the end.
Mm-hmm.
I kinda just reach my max on my social
Yeah.
energy,
The battery.
and especially if it's a party that I don't know a lot of people and that I
Mm-hmm.
know I have to be on and I have to mingle because that's my job as a guest.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, your job as a guest is to not sit on the couch and be quiet and watch TV or be on your phone. Your job is to
Right.
engage. You were hired to come to this party and do your job. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes by the end of the evening, I'm kind of run out of my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever leave before we have dessert because that's
Yeah.
the most important part of a meal, in my opinion.
Yes.
But I won't stay until the very end.
Okay. Well, then I know the answer to barefoot on the porch or dressed up for dinner, I
Barefoot on
think.
the porch, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what I like about my summer parties on Fridays. Is
Mm-hmm.
that it's just jeans and a pair of shorts or my bathing suit and a cover up,
Mm-hmm.
and, we're barbecuing and you just come outside and sit, and
That's
there's
nice.
just something about having makeup on and having to spray yourself with mosquito spray. It just
Ugh.
doesn't go.
Makeup and sunscreen too. Nope.
Ugh, no. So,
Yeah.
I don't mind dressing up for dinner, especially if I'm gonna go out to dinner and meet some friends,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, I'd rather just be just all au natural.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can't wait to hear this one. Your mom's kitchen or your grandmother's, and you have to describe them like I did.
Okay. So, I really would didn't ever go to my dad's mother's house. She lived in the country, and she lived in the country when I was real little, so I don't really remember much about her house.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother's mother lived in, before she moved to an apartment, she lived in a house on View Street. And you walked in, and it was a big living room, and then you stepped through, and it was the kitchen. And I remember, of course, everything seems bigger when you're little,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, the kitchen seemed really big. It had one long counter in the back. Pretty sure it was metal countertops,
Mm-hmm.
porcelain sink, stove on one side, and I think cabinetry on the other, and then she had a kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
And she used to make the best cornmeal pancakes,
Mm-hmm.
cornbread. I have her
Mm-hmm.
cast iron skillet, so I know it's easily over 100 years old.
Yeah.
But she was 70 something when she died in the 70s. So do the math. But my favorite thing
Mm-hmm.
she would have me do when I would come spend the weekends with her is that she would let me roll her cigarettes. I wanted to be a cigarette maker
Mm.
after that. I mean, it was tiny little papers and an old timey little cigarette
Mm-hmm.
roller. I would lick the paper, roll her cigarette. They probably look like pot because I would overstuff them. They were not slim and, elegant looking. They were like beefy, but I loved that. And I don't know if my mother ever knew that my grandmother had me roll her cigarettes, but that was my
That's so funny.
okay. My mother's kitchen was yellow
Mm.
and the cabinets were yellow. The floor was linoleum, and it was a rectangular shaped.
Mm-hmm.
Did not have an island. It needed to probably have an island because it was a massive,
Big.
big
Mm-hmm.
floor space. But she had one of those white metal ovens
Mm-hmm.
that had like the smaller oven on the
The
side and then the
side.
big
Mhm. That's the
oven.
one at Mimos. Mhm.
Yep. And then next to it was a butcher block countertop.
Mm.
But then her kitchen counter was the porcelain, and it looked out onto the backyard.
Mhm.
And then the refrigerator was on the other side, and then she had this cute little cart on wheels that had strawberries on it.
Cute.
That's where we kept the cereal. And then the kitchen, the sitting area, the round table, and then she had a little secretary in there, and then she had little calico curtains.
Cute.
And then we had one of those lanterns that hung down that was a radio.
Mhm. Fun.
Which one would I rather be in? I'd really like to go back and roll cigarettes, but I think my mother's kitchen
Mm. Yeah.
because that's where everything happened.
Uh-huh.
Cooking, homework,
Mhm.
arguments, crying,
Mhm.
celebrations,
Yep. All the things.
sadness.
Mhm.
So
Yep. Okay. Passing dishes around or plating everything ahead.
I love family style, and I
Mm.
need to do more of that.
Mhm.
My table's not really big enough. I have a big round table that seats 6, but I think once you put all the plates on there, there's not a lot of room for maybe the meat could be in the kitchen and all the vegetables and stuff is in the or the meat's
Mhm.
plated and then
Uh-huh.
vegetables are out on the table.
People get the sides that they want.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That was fun.
Yeah. That was good.
Okay, so we have reader email.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one.
Okay.
It's from a new listener named Lindsay.
Hi,
And
Lindsay.
hi, Lindsay. And I'm going to read it and then we're going to weigh in. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, ladies. Hello, Lindsay. I somehow stumbled upon your IGs and Instagrams and subsequently your podcast some weeks ago, and I'm so glad I did. I loved gleaning wisdom about your advice, gaining confidence with using what I have, and of course, getting to know you through your porch questions. I have a goal of hosting family or friends in our home at least once per month in 2026,
Hmm,
and so far, so good. I love that.
that's cool.
However, I do have a question on how to best host ladies' groups. Here's my dilemma. My husband isn't super social and would rather not host dinner parties very often. He's a great cook and loves to spoil his close friends with a delicious meal. What would be hard to convince him to branch out and get to know others by hosting in our home. I, on the other hand, am all about having anyone over as long as I've got time to do a 10-minute tidy. Wink, wink. We also have 4 kids ranging from 15 years down to 1.5 years old.
Wow.
So having things here at the house for my lady friends means kicking the family out of the house for an unsure amount of time. I have the girls over for brunch on school days from time to time. I work from home, but that means I'm limited to who I can invite based on the fact that that many of my friends
I
have
work.
normal business hours.
Mhm.
I'd love to host a church ladies game night or just some friends over for dinner, but I don't want to put my family out to do so.
Mhm.
Any advice on this situation?
Hmm. I love that she made the goal
Yeah.
to host. Yeah. I like that a lot.
What are your uh what's your thoughts?
Well, I think a lot of things come to my mind. I the first thing I thought of was like, well, like kicking them out, just tell them to do their own thing. Set the kids up to do their own thing. Husband can be in there or not. And maybe if you have a location in the house on an evening that not it's not a high traffic area for your family, like a porch or a little separate space, even the dining room. If you have a dining room where a family's not going to be in and out of, like set them up, let them be there. Don't kick them out. I know you have a 1.5-year-old, that might be complicated, but then just I think that your ladies that are coming for the game night with your like with you, they can relate to that probably with family being there. So they're not going to expect the whole family to be gone and it just be y'all. And so it kind of invites real life in a little bit. The other thing is maybe, maybe broker a deal. I don't know, of like one shared hosting event every couple of months with the husband involved. And then the other months where you're trying to host once a month, just be you and do some more of those lower key things like the brunch or the porch supper, or make it just like desserts or coffee or something simple. Maybe they're not there for hours on end, where it's just short and sweet and a way to get together and low key, where it doesn't really disrupt the entire family life. It's hard for me to give a lot of advice here because I live alone and I
Yeah,
don't have to care. Like, I don't have to worry about what anybody else wants to do. It's just what I want to do.
sure.
Um, but the one thing I thought about is just let it, I think that it'll feel meaningful and intimate and sort of like real life if the family is there instead of kicking everybody out. Just, give kids a home base for the evening, like, okay, stay in the playroom or hang out in your bedrooms or give them a movie night situation. Husband can opt in or opt out, and y'all gather in the kitchen and play games and just eat around the kitchen table and hang out. Or I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, so what I'm gleaning from her is that her husband's uncomfortable with people he doesn't know.
Uh huh.
But what he is good at is cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thing as a seasoned coach and someone who has been entertaining for 40 plus years, and my daughter's 26, and also I remember from when my mother hosted, and she had
Mm-hmm.
4 kids that ranged from 15 to me, newborn. Your children need to see you hosting.
Mm-hmm.
They need to see that that's a normal thing that you do, that your mother is has a heart for hosting, loves to bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
Your children see you modeling that it's important to have friendships.
Yeah.
They're going to seem like that's a natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my suggestion would be to move from the mindset of using the terms kicking them
Yeah,
out.
that was me too. That was kind of where I was going
Yeah.
with it.
That
Mhm.
this is what mama does.
Mhm.
Mama has friends over. It's important you have friends at school, that you go and have
Mhm.
play dates. Mama needs to have friends too.
Mhm.
And I think that also needs to be shared with the husband.
Mhm.
I know your niche is you're not comfortable in settings when you don't know everybody, but you could be helpful to me is, could you cook an incredible meal for us?
Mhm.
And then your job is, you don't have to be involved in hosting, but your job is to help take care of the kids,
Yeah.
and have they get a special night. Maybe
Yeah.
you get your 15-year-old involved in setting the table.
Mhm.
The little ones could do a little place card or
Mhm.
some kind of art for everybody,
Yeah, cute.
or menu.
Mhm.
Get the family involved,
Yeah,
and
that's kinda
don't
what I was thinking too, like,
yeah, and
let
don't
them
you
see it.
don't change your mindset on this. Don't think
Mhm.
that you're making them go out. Now,
Right.
let's say every once in a while you do want to have just ladies only and you want it to be quiet.
Mhm.
You set that expectation with your husband ahead of time, and it's his job to get everybody to go out to dinner. Go to Olive Garden, have dinner, all you
Mhm.
can eat,
Mhm.
pasta, whatever, and you get to bring sides home. And when they come home, then his job is or the 15-year-olds or whatever. I don't know what y'all's dynamics are for getting ready for bed, but there's all still, show mama that you can be respectful of my time with my girlfriends.
Mhm.
Or when they come back, it's kind of like what you said. They can enjoy dessert. Everybody can enjoy
Yeah,
ice cream together. And then that's the social cues. Kids are getting ready for bed. Those moms are probably needing to get their
go
kids
home
ready
too.
for bed
Mhm.
too. And so it's
Mhm.
a natural end to the evening.
Mhm.
That would be my suggestion.
Yeah. That was my frame of mind too, just, like, let it be a natural part, like, this is it's not a special occasion for mom to have people over, like, it's how we show hospitality, how we welcome people into our homes. And yes, they may have a home base for the evening where they're not necessarily in the middle of the event, but they see it, they help, they take part, they are excited for mom having her friends over, that kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
and really
And
get the husband involved and say,
mhm,
"Hey, let's sit down one night after the kids all go to bed, and can you help me plan a menu since you're
mhm,
such a great." And really, men need a lot of strokes
mm,
and build up of their self-esteem. You're such a great cook.
mhm,
Um, and I could really use your help. Could you make a really good whatever?
mhm,
And and then the kids, if you tell your kids, "Hey, it's mommy's special week coming up on Thursday. It's when I invite my girlfriends over."
mhm,
And then your kids you could even say, and in exchange, y'all can have a special night with your friends.
mhm,
Daddy will make a great menu, make a great meal, and you can invite your girlfriends over or your
mhm,
boyfriends or whatever.
mhm,
So I agree with you. It just needs to be a family experience that you need to model for your children. My mother had parties all the time,
yeah, mine too.
crafting around the table, sitting outside, just sipping iced tea, come over for coffee, and I'm going to make a bundt cake. It was just part of that's how I grew to love hosting. So
Yeah.
I hope, Lindsay, I hope these ideas help.
I do
And I tell
too.
you what, we could, our listeners,
Yeah.
if you want to offer Lindsay some suggestions, things that maybe that Brittany and I didn't think about,
Mhm.
is send us an email at the
Mhm.
sentimental twist podcast at gmail.com and weigh in, and let's give Lindsay some love.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. We're now
Oh,
on to segment 5. Blessed I had to share it, which is our things we're loving right now that we want to share with you.
yes. You wanna go first this time?
Sure. I'm wearing this adorable necklace from our friend Molly Stewart, whose jewelry,
Jewelry? I think that's right.
holidays jewelry on Instagram. I bought this from, what her thing is that she takes remnants
Mhm.
of jewelry that's either lost its mate or it's fallen apart, and she strings it and makes really cute little
That's cute.
creations from just all different things. And I bought this was an earring.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, I think that here's the other mate. I got this back before Easter because it's got the bunny. It's a
Mhm.
little plastic Easter bunny, but here's a peace sign. So
Cute.
I wanted y'all to know about her and give her a follow because she makes really cute little Christmas trees
Mhm.
with
With
vintage
brooches and
jewelry,
stuff. Yeah.
brooches, jewelry. So, and here's a little chick that's made out of felt.
That's so
Super
cute.
cute. And I just love it.
She likes
It looks very Betsy Johnson to
it
me.
does. She likes repurposing vintage pieces that
Yes. Yeah,
as well. So
giving
mhm,
upcycling, giving things a new
mhm.
life. So give her a follow. That's my share. Yeah.
Well, that's fun. My blessed is Janet.
Oh,
Again, sweet Janet. So today I'm going to share about Janet from the Midlife Joyride is doing something that y'all need to go ahead and get on the wait list for because she's only going to do a limited number of this summer, and she is launching what she's calling the Honeycomb Collection.
oh,
Yeah.
what is
So
that?
the Honeycomb Collection. Yeah. The Honeycomb Collection, I've got to read it because I want to make sure I get it right. From the Hive is a monthly happy mail, so real mail, from Janet, the Midlife Joyride, filled with hand signed letters, art, recipes, and thoughtful little prompts. So it's like a little monthly little surprise
I
happy
totally
mail.
am going to sign up for this.
Yes, she is launching it in July, and
Oh,
each month
shoot.
will
Okay.
I know. But I wanted to go ahead and get it in now because I feel like the wait list will fill up before we come back for season 4. So it's launching in July, and each month will have a little bit of different, little meaningful surprise that feels personal and worth holding on to. That's the point. It's nostalgic, encouraging, and a gentle reminder that there's still so much ahead. So visit her Instagram, and there's a link in her bio to sign up. Um, if I think by the time this airs, the link in bio will be specifically to sign up for the Honeycomb Collection.
Yeah, it's
But
not there right now.
yeah, you can also sign up for her email newsletter, and she shares about it in that. She sends out a weekly email.
Yeah.
So that is the Honeycomb Collection from Janet, the Midlife Joyride. So,
I tell you, Janet, y'all need to follow her. She is a hoot. And her dog, Bo,
oh my gosh, she's hilarious.
when she does, if you watch her stories, she always does like a little morning coffee. And no, I'm watching the Bo show in the
In the
background
background.
because I'm more interested in what Bo's doing on that sofa.
He's always like chasing his tail.
Chasing his tail or chewing on a bone, or I don't know what he's doing. He is the cutest thing, and I'm not even listening to what Janet says. And here's
Sorry,
the thing
Janet.
about Janet's coffee talks is I'm strangely attracted to hearing her swallow coffee.
ASMR.
Yes. It's like annoying and attractive
Satisfying.
at and satisfying at the same time, and I cannot figure it
That's what
out.
all ASMR is. Like if most ASMR videos are really kind of like
Finger
you know,
scratching, like scratching on a chalkboard, but you can't stop
but you
listening to
love it at
it.
the same
And I
time.
don't think she realizes that when she swallows her coffee that it's an ASMR.
It is. What does ASMR stand for?
Well, let me look it up.
You gotta look
My
that up.
daughter could tell you because she's very into ASMR.
Audio
It's
sensory. I don't know. Gonna make something up.
autonomous sensory meridian response.
Huh. Let's get a
With
definition of that.
internet slang and social media, ASMR has evolved beyond its original scientific definition. While it still refers to autonomous sensory meridian response, the term is now more used broadly to describe anything that provides satisfaction, relaxation, or a feel-good sensation.
Okay.
All right. So I'm strangely attracted to
Yeah.
Janet swallowing her coffee.
Do you hate this?
Yes,
That people do? I hate it.
in that.
I hate it so much.
I bought some
Um,
of her coffee that she suggested last night.
Oh.
She was talking about might be a Louisiana roaster. I can tell you,
Mm.
I just ordered it on Amazon.
Community coffee?
No, she does not like community coffee. She says it's
Okay,
too
that's right.
strong.
It is strong. It is strong.
I like strong coffee, so I'd actually probably like community, which tells me that probably this coffee that I ordered, I'm not going to like because I think it's going to be too weak. It's New Orleans roast,
Okay.
and I got Southern pecan in
Mm,
K cups because I still have a
okay.
Keurig. I
Okay.
desperately want to get one like the Smeg, like you have.
Mhm.
Don't you have a Smeg?
I do.
I just don't want to spend the money
Mm.
because I
Mine's just
wanted to.
out on the in the open in that cute little bar area. It had to be a cute coffee maker.
Yeah, and I want to do the thing where it's on a timer, where I've
Mhm.
got coffee waiting for me when I get up.
That's the best part of my
I
life.
got so
This is how
spoiled
I
by
get out of bed.
I
I
got so
snooze.
spoiled being on, the show. I'll tell you one thing, I don't know that I can say this or not, but here's the thing is that when you do shows like this, when you do and I'm talking about The $1,000,000 Secret,
Uh-huh.
is that, this show in particular did very well with taking care of their cast. Like, I felt
Mhm.
like a princess the whole time. Like, everything was done for me.
Mm.
And in the morning, my sweet little cast care member she had to stay overnight because it's very like you cannot talk to anybody when you're in your room. You're by
Mm.
yourself. She knew my coffee order, and every morning she would bring me a handcrafted cup of hot coffee, and that's what I want.
Mhm.
If I
Somewhere
won the $1,000,000, I'm going to spend it on having someone come over to the house every morning and bring me
that's
a
your
handcraft.
a
And
personal barista.
I want a Mr. What was it? Did you watch Downton Abbey?
Oh, yeah.
What was his name? Say it. Mr. something. Our friends at
Bait?
Mr. Bates.
Yeah.
No, was it?
No, he was the valet. Hold on.
Oh, ASMR.
Can y'all hear my keyboard?
People at home are yelling it already.
Mr. Carson.
I want a Mr. Carson
Yeah.
to come in the morning and be very gentle and be like, "Here's your coffee, ma'am, Mrs. Twist. Open my shutters, bring me my robe and my slippers." Um, I need that in my life. So,
Was it Mrs. Bates on Downton Abbey? Yes, it was Mrs. Bates, the lady.
Mrs. Bates and Mr. Carson.
No, no, Bates. No, Bates was the. Oh shoot! This now I need to rewatch Downton Abbey. He was the. I'm gonna have to. He was the valet.
And he
Valet
married
or what?
Anna, right?
No, wait.
Did
I
he
don't know.
marry Anna?
He was Robert's valet. The guy that dressed him, the main man, the
Yeah.
Lord. So I knew Bates was one of the names, but Carson was the butler or
Carson,
whatever.
Mr. Carson. So I want a Mr. Carson, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Yes,
I need to
Mr.
rewatch.
Carson. Okay. Bates was the man who married Anna, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, that's right.
He had to go to jail.
Mhm.
He was found guilty of killing his wife when he really didn't.
Mhm.
Didn't Anna kill his wife? Or no?
I
What?
think that was prior to.
I'm gonna have to watch this
I
show.
need to rewatch it again
We're
too.
going down a rabbit trail. But anywho, I need someone to make my coffee for me every morning.
Okay.
So okay.
You win the $1,000,000. Can you also hire me a Mr. Carson?
Yes, and if I win $1,000,000, I'm also gonna just put you on retainer to help me find well, I won't need it to have collaborations because 'cause I'll have the money already, but anywho.
Good point.
Okay, so I think it's time for us. Oh wait, it's time for me to do my sentimental,
Yeah.
my toast to sentiment,
The last one for the season.
and mine is going to be scripture based.
Okay.
So I don't know if a lot of people know that there are so many scriptures in the Bible that are hospitality rooted,
Yes, they are.
and I'm going to just read a few. In Hebrews 13:2, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers. For this has some entertained, for we sometimes have entertained angels without knowing it.
Mhm.
In 1 Peter 4:9, show hospitality to one another without grumbling. Ooh, I need to remember that sometimes. When I'm planning
That
a
early
party and
friend
I'm
I grumble about.
tired. Yeah. Well, like everything's hunky dory on Monday after you've had the weekend to rest up. And then by Friday, when it's time to host that party and it's hot outside, Romans 12:13, this is my favorite one. Share with the saints in their needs, pursue hospitality.
Mhm.
And Matthew 25, I'll finish with this one. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in.
Mm.
So I think that sometimes we can get lost with our table decor and our house being clean and perfect. We need to remember that hospitality at its root is about making people feel loved, welcomed, and served.
Mhm.
And so that's my toast to sentiment. As we close out our season, I want to say how grateful I am to you, Brittany, and our friendship, how much I've learned from you,
Same.
and how much I appreciate our listeners and our followers and the people who email us and DM us and support us. And I'm just so grateful.
Me
And
too.
I look forward to coming back with season 4 with more fun things to
Yeah.
share.
Season 4 will make it a whole year by the time we air season 4. It will be a year of the sentimental twist because we started in June of 2025 is when our first episode aired.
Wow.
And it's crazy. It's
It
awesome.
is
I
crazy.
also want to just echo that gratefulness for our friendship and getting to know each other. I'm so looking forward to having you in Dothan soon. And then just the sweet people that encourage us and send us sweet messages. It's a highlight of my day and week when I get some sweet message on Instagram or in my Storykeeper Circle community with the ladies there. Yeah, it makes the world feel smaller. So,
And I think you and I are both have grown our community to the point now where it's really gelling and people are really understanding what we have to bring. And at the
mhm.
same time, they are reciprocating with kindness to
Yeah.
say, I'm so glad I found your account.
Mm.
Everything you say is so meaningful to me. Continue spreading joy. And I just feel like
Mhm.
we're in great places. We're in good
Yeah,
places. And there's more joy to unfold.
I know.
So that's
Uh,
all for today's episode of The Sentimental Twist. And the last episode of this season 3 will be back later this summer for season 4. Brittany and I need to take a break and enjoy. You need to finish school. You need to finish getting your knee healed. Um, and we'll be back sometime later this summer. Please give us a follow on our podcast. Leave us a review. Share it with a friend who you think would really love to learn more about what we do with gracious hospitality and creating and curating a meaningful home.
Mhm.
Be sure to give us this feedback. Um, we've had some great responses, and we'd love to hear what you'd like to hear for season 4. Send us
Yes.
an email at the sentimental twist podcast at gmail.com, or just if that's too hard, just send us a DM on one of our
Mhm.
platforms.
Yeah.
I'm at home with a twist at gmail, homewithatwist.com, home with a
Mhm.
twist on email, Gmail. Oh gosh. As I've been drinking for the last couple of hours. Home with a Twist on Instagram, homewithatwist.com, and Home with a Twist on YouTubes.
Yes. And I'm Brittany Shepherd on Instagram, thesentimentaldecorator.com, and Brittany Shepherd TSD on YouTube.
Okay. Thanks for joining us on the Sentimental Twist podcast.
Where we believe every space tells a story.
And every story deserves a place at the table. Until next season.
Keep things cozy, collected, and a little bit sentimental.
We love
Bye,
you
y'all.
guys. We'll see you soon.